down, but love stays around. And when you know you're right, but you got to make a little sacrifice. You make it for love. Whoa, yeah. I never thought about the day would come when she would leave without goodbye. Yes, sir. She wrote a line or two upon the wall. Said, I'm leaving you, though I love you too. I can't stay with you. And to this very day, I can never say a discouraging word, because I love you. Whoa, yes, sirree, now. Love affair, and you hate to say, girl, I told you so, but you gotta go. There won't be a fight, 'cause your love is right, but you're leaving wrong, 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 wrong. Ooh, yeah. When you treat her nice, but you find you have to pay the price. And though you know you're right, but you gotta make a little sacrifice. You make it for love.
Good morning, Talk 97.3 FM and 990 AM WEEB. Welcome back to the most listened to program in all of the Sand Hills. It is time once again for Mornings with the LeaderMan. I am Steve Leader Adams.
And I'm the LeaderMan single-celled sidekick, Matt Horsley. The text line number is 690-0116, 910-690-0116. It's wet and it's dark. It's different from Friday, so keep your eyes open.
Don't forget, of course, we are being heard and seen around the world on our live video stream. That's available to you at talk973.com. Top middle of the page is the link. If you're on a mobile device, try YouTube and put Mornings with the LeaderMan in the search. If you're also on a mobile device just looking audio, we suggest the TuneIn, iTunes apps. Both of those will get it there. Other apps will work also. Just put WEEB into the search. And if you're on our website, that little icon in the upper right-hand corner of any of our web pages that says it says listen live. Just tap that one time and you'll be listening just that quick. Weather for us today here in the Sand Hills area, look for a mixed bag of entertainment. Look for cloudy with rain and maybe some snow in there. Most of the snow will be north of us, but the northern part of our county may see a little bit. High today of 41. Doesn't sound like snow sticking weather. Then tonight, still a trio mix of stuff and maybe ending with all snow. Late tonight, a little 33. And tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 51. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, 32. And Wednesday, 48 under sunshine. Thursday, 56. Friday, 63. Next weekend, we're pushing, Sunday. Write this one down, 78. Can't ever stop in the perfect range, can we? We either got to flip to one side of it or the other.
It's been happening that way for years.
The perfect side is sunny, no heavy wind, and 58 degrees. That's good weather.
I'm working on holding the weather in one particular way, but unfortunately it's probably not going to happen until later on this summer, Steve. So
right now around the Sand Hills, winds are east-northeast at 14, visibility at 8 statute miles, pressure is 2977, dew point 39, humidity maxed out at 100%, and it's cloudy, 39 degrees right now here at Talk 97.3 FM and 990 AM WEEB. In fact, our predicted high is just 2 degrees above what we are right now. All right, well, let's move on to our audio bites this morning. See what we have with that. Well, let's start out with the we're going to help you out if you're doing brackets. A little March Madness tip of the day.
It's time for your NCAA March Madness bracket tip of the day. Phoned in daily from an anonymous source and location.
I just got a tip on what could be a major upset. I can't name names, but if I had a salad for lunch, it would have Gonzaga beans. I got to go.
All right, and what is March Madness? Well, here it is, wrapped up in a short 46 seconds.
Blue Devils, Red Raiders, Blackbirds, Crimson Tide, Bonnies, Bruins, Bulls, 2 Bison, and the Buckeyes, Rams, Raiders, Ramblers, Racers, Red Triggers, Razorbacks, Friars, Titans, Gales, Boilermakers, and Lumberjacks, Jayhawks, Jackrabbits, Eagles, Gators, Shockers, Sooners, Seminoles, Quakers, Thundering Herd, 2 Aggies, Longhorns. Take a deep breath, there's 35 more. 4 Tigers, 2 Cougars, Panthers, 5 Wildcats, Horned Frogs, Tar Heels, Eagles, and 2 Wolfpack, Bearcats, 2 Bulldogs, Musketeers, and Blue Jays, Orange, Grizzlies, Wolverines, Hurricanes, Highlanders, and Volunteers. A couple of Spartans, Mountaineers, Hokies, Pirates, Cavaliers, and the Aztecs. And complete your brackets, it's March Madness.
All right.
Did he say Quakers in there?
Well, I got the copy. It would take me an hour to find it, though.
Is there a team called the Quakers?
I assume so, if he said it. I'm
not sure he said it.
I don't know them all. Yep, Quakers, Thundering Herd, 2 Aggies, Longhorns. And then you take a deep breath.
Look out, the Quakers are coming!
Let's see here. There's a video online of a dog competing in a dog show in England and not doing anything he's supposed to be doing, but they're putting it on English TV anyway. Here's the announcer covering this exciting event on TV in England.
He's a crossbreed of all sorts, and he hasn't a clue what he's doing, has he? Can we get him into the weave? I shouldn't think so for a second. No, we can't. No, I'm not going in there. I'm not doing it. Oh, this is... He's stuck. Hey, I love it. There's no room for him to turn around in there. How did he do that? That's brilliant. He jumps these jumps at full height. If you can keep him on the course, he couldn't care less, could he?
Maybe he wasn't quite ready for the course, I take it. And where is the dumbest nightclub in all of America? Well, Miami Beach, of course. The nightclub got shut down in Miami Wednesday because they let a woman in on a bikini riding a horse onto the dance floor. Well, first of all, that runs the potential of 2 things. Getting a tar kicked out of you, as well as, you want to drunk around the rear end of a horse. That's going to end good, isn't it?
Often drunks are the rear end of a horse.
But they could also, obviously, lead to the horse, putting dancing shavings down on the floor, I guess you'd say. When I had my nightclub in Raleigh, we would take cornstarch and sprinkle it on to the floor before the start of the night, because and then we didn't allow drinks on the floor. This was on the country side of the club where they 2-step all night and take it serious. And we just didn't allow drinks on the floor because it goofs up the floor for the night if he gets a wet spot.
The cornstarch was to keep it from being too slippery.
Right. That's kind of like a shuffleboard table. To keep so it glides real easy.
Yeah.
And so when you shuffle your feet, it shuffles easily.
Oh, so it would make it more slippery.
Yeah.
Cornstarch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, the horse got spooked and threw the girl in the bikini off. The floor was so packed the horse could barely move, and was supposed to be part of the entertainment. In some videos, you can see there's a little person on the horse too. The city tracked down the horse later, and it's all right. Here's some of the people there.
There's a literal horse. That's a real horse. Why? In the club.
Here's another clip of someone inside the club talking about the horse out there on that dance floor.
It's a horse. It's a horse. What the
Wow, the owner of the club thought it'd be so cool to put it out there on the floor with you.
What could go wrong with a horse on a crowded dance floor with lights and loud music and drugs and alcohol?
Yeah, if you think the horse never kicks, you want to trust it? Not going to be on the back end of a horse.
Maybe the horse was smoking weed too.
I've seen too many people get kicked. I respect those hooves a whole lot.
Yeah.
You know, when I had a horse, I had an Arabian for a while. That you gotta pick the hoofs up and clean them and all that before you ride to make sure there's no stones in there. And that's, even though I never got kicked by the horse, did always made me a little cautious. I never got directly behind the hoof when I picked it up. I was always to the side of it. So if she kicked out, I wasn't in the line of fire.
Yeah.
Anyway. Let's see. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you saw the president in Pennsylvania over the weekend, Saturday night, give a speech. It basically was back to true Trump, the kind of speech that he gave out on the campaign trail. And he was there to support another candidate, but he was also talking about the fake media and Chuck Todd. Chuck Todd, of course, spends his whole hour every week trying to tell the president how to be president. Seems to be working out so far, doesn't it, Chuck? He does opposite what you say, and things work a whole lot better. Anyway, here's the president talking about Chuck.
You ever see the story where it's 1999. I'm on Meet the Press, a show now headed by Sleepy Eyes Chuck Todd. He's a sleeping son of a bitch, I'll tell you.
Didn't hear how Chuck reacted yesterday, did you?
No.
I can't take with just so much of him and his condescending attitude toward the president during the whole show. Well, let's see. Trump did get him to the Kim Jong-un to the bargaining table, it looks like. We'll see if it works out. But now the Democrats have a committee saying the president is incapable of negotiating with the North Koreans. And we have a committee of people who think should be the core of these negotiations. And you better leave it to us type attitude. No, I think he's got a good business sense. People say, why do you like him? Why do you like him? Because he talks to us instead of at us. Do you really want to go hear a stiff, boring presidential speech where every word is scripted and everything is so well timed? I get a copy of all the scripts. They send them to me just because we're a station. And I got them for Obama, too, and it having their pause for applause, and things like that.
Sigh. Hillary Clinton said sigh, and she said sigh.
Yeah. And they'll have in parentheses joke ahead, and so say it like a joke with some sarcasm. Anyway, what was my point? Yeah, I mean, Trump gets up there and he doesn't sound like a stiff politician. Mike Pence does the perfect vice presidential thing, saying the exact words that are on the page, delivering them well, very vice presidential. Trump just goes, hey, let me talk to you. And he does. And he just has that connection with his base. And because we're so sick and tired of the other, that it gets nothing done. It's all talk, nothing, no do. Tiger Woods finished second in the PGA tournament for the first time in almost 5 years yesterday. He made a rally at the end, but came up a stroke short, forcing a playoff. Paul Casey won it. Tiger hit a 45-foot putt on the 17th hole, but he also needed a birdie on the 18th, and he didn't get it. Here's a little montage of Tiger.
on the day we spring ahead. Tiger trying to turn the clock back once again here this week.
Tiger. Roger, this is Tiger time, isn't it? You've seen it.
Yeah. I mean, we all have. And, we're all going off memories of the past and this and that. This is the time he would do something heroic.
This to get within one.
44 feet, David.
Are you serious? Are you serious?
There's a little of that old Tiger magic.
He just never ceases to amaze.
Gotta go. Get there.
So Tiger Woods will come up one shot short of getting that win. But if there's any doubt the Tiger is back, there's no doubt after what we've seen this week.
My son was home this weekend. We went out to eat the other night, and in the next booth, there was a kid. He was wearing a Titleist hat, and he was taking a drink out of his cup. And so with that cup around, up around his nose and his mouth, he looked exactly like a young Tiger Woods. When he dropped the cup, he looked like Margaret Thatcher, but that's a different matter.
Well, that was another vain attempt at comedy. I've told you to leave.
Come on now, you were smiling.
No.
Yes, you were.
I was going, oh.
But it's true. He did look like Tiger Woods.
I was saying, oh, my goodness. Is he trying to be funny again? Please leave it to the professionals. It will go over better. An 89-year-old nun who's been battling Katy Perry in court collapsed and died during a hearing in the case. Her name was Sister Catherine Rose Holtzman, and she talked to the media only hours before it happened. Basically, Katy Perry was about to buy a property from the Holtzman's order, and then another buyer got involved and tried to break up the deal, so Perry sued. Here's the 89-year-old Sister Catherine talking to us.
To Katy Perry to please stop. It's not doing anyone any good except hurting a lot of people.
Sister Catherine Rose came over and she says, my chest hurts, and sat down and then leaned over, and that was it. So she actually died in the courtroom fighting the fight that she's been fighting.
Okay. Well, speaking of Katie, a 19-year-old American Idol premiered last night, complete with Ryan Seacrest making his another $15 million to be Vanilla.
Oh, my gosh, that guy is such a racist. Or is he a homophobe? Oh, no, he's a sexist.
A 19-year-old guy named Benjamin tried out and told the judges he'd never been kissed by a girl. So Katy Perry helped him out. She kissed him for the first time on the cheek, but it was awkward, so they tried again, and she kissed him on the lips. The guy fell backwards on the ground, so he was so shocked.
Sounds scripted to me.
This is from American Idol last night.
Have you kissed a girl and liked it?
No, I've never been in a relationship.
Really?
I can't kiss a girl without being in a relationship.
Come here, baby.
No, wait, hold on.
Come here.
Come on.
Come here right now.
What, on the cheek?
Mm-hmm. He didn't even make the smush sound.
Right, okay. Let me start over. Okay.
And he fell down. He fell down.
He went noodle me on it.
Oh my
Very
gosh.
good. That was so
well,
good.
that's a first.
Sorry.
First. Katie is the first. That was a major deal. I mean, that was major.
Oh, yeah, that was a big
Your
deal.
first kiss was Katy Perry.
That's going up on the fridge.
Yeah.
There's only one way to go from there, downhill. Who was your first kiss with? Katy Perry. It's a pretty good place to start. Don't you remember your first kiss?
Yes, but I'll tell you what, Hulk Hogan was not my idea of a good time.
Yeah. Well, you were his sex toy, I guess. What'd you expect? A 7-year-old girl named Dixie tried out last night on American Idol, and they gave her a golden ticket to Hollywood. for 2026?
Dixie's just here to perform with me.
Dixie? Your name is Dixie?
Oh,
Yeah, her name is Dixie, and my name's Layla Spring. 3 o'clock in the morning, here I am. Ooh, so lonesome for me.
Yeah!
Good job, Dick.
All right. My vote is yes.
This is not going to be very tough because I think you are just a big star. So my vote's yes.
That's 2 for 2.
Oh, my goodness.
Luke?
Dixie, I think you're going to have to come to Hollywood one of these days. Dixie.
Valid. 2026.
There you go.
1, 2, 3.
See
you in 2026.
When all your teeth grow in.
Although American Idol will be canceled probably in 4 years from now.
And you said she was 86?
She was 7.
Oh, 7. Oh, okay.
Nice of you to be tuned in and listening this morning.
Sounded 7.
Let's see. I don't care about that. And some of the acts, we're not going to play this whole one because it's just too much torture. People get in there and think they can sing.
That last one was torture, too.
Not as torturous as this.
Uh-oh.
A girl named, where is she at?
Torture.
Her name is Kobe.
Oh.
And she thought she was really killing it. Instead, she was killing her chances by thinking she could sing.
The devil never stops. Kill me. For you.
Is that enough?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. That's, why I don't watch American Idol. Meanwhile, Kathy Griffin was on Bill Maher's show, HBO's Worthless Show.
Oh,
Bill
yes,
Maher.
please play a clip. Kathy Griffin.
Yeah. She's been touring overseas because nobody wanted her here. Now she's going to, I guess, self-fund a show and see how it goes. It has a couple of dates on the horizon. She was on Bill Maher's show telling about that she's going to start doing... Sneeze hit me.
Allergies.
It's going to do a stand-up show again. Here is, of course, she's thinking none of this, what's come upon her, is her fault at all. But here she is.
So I'm dipping my toes into touring again, even though the Trumps and nobody wants me to work again. But I'm dipping my toes in, and I'm going to do a show at Carnegie Hall in New York. And I'm also going to go right to Trump's backyard and do a show at the Kennedy Center.
All right, Kathy Griffin, triumphant.
And all 14 of your fans will show up.
Woo! Well, in D.C., it'll be packed.
She also talked about with Bill her scandal with the picture of the bloody Trump head, saying that scandal was just BS. Oh, gee, I believe that was you on the end of the Trump head holding up a severed head of Donald Trump.
Bill, first of all, I really want to thank you for being one of the first and only people to publicly support me and say what happened was bull.
It was bull. Yeah.
Publicly.
Well,
Yes,
Because I got texts from some celebrities that were like, don't tell anybody I sent you this text, but I support you all the way. I love you. Jerry Seinfeld. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. As if, by the way, as if we have each other's numbers, me and Jerry Seinfeld. But go ahead.
Exactly. I happen to know they don't.
Well, I guess she's still learning that majority of America just doesn't think she's funny. Period. All right, let's take a look at this day in history. This being the, what is this, 12th day of March all day long. It was on this day back in 9 years ago that Bernie Madoff pled guilty to scamming $18 billion from Wall Street investors. His Ponzi scheme is the largest financial fraud in U.S. history.
By comparison, Ponzi's was tiny.
94, Melanie Griffith changed her mind one day after filing for divorce from Don Johnson. She explained, quote, "I have terrible PMS. I just went a little crazy." They divorced in 1996 instead. Yeah, today I saw her in some crummy movie where she just had a bit part. She used to be Leeds, and then she got into all that plastic surgery for her face. Now it doesn't even look like her anymore. She looks like a freak show. And how's that helped your career, honey? Huh? And 28 years ago, in 1990, the Raiders announced they were returning to Oakland. 74, Kathy Lee Crosby became the first Wonder Woman on TV. And let's see, in 1948, 48 years ago, 1970, the U.S. lowered the voting age from 21 to 18. The argument back then was, if you can go to Vietnam and die for your country, shouldn't you be able to vote for those who are sending you? Birthdays today, they include Aaron Eckhart from The Dark Knight, 50 years old today. Marlon Jackson, 61. He's the appendix of the Jackson 5. Ron Jeremy has over 2,300 fine films under his belt, 65 years old today. Mitt Romney, 71 today, candidate for U.S. Senate in Utah. That's about it on the birthdays. Okay, things we need to know so we do not sound stupid today. They include a research company says there's been a 24% decline in Facebook usage. Are you using it less?
I absolutely am. I really, honestly am.
The Obamas are in talk with Netflix to produce a series of shows exclusively for them. Heather Locklear has checked into a rehab facility that would make her sixth try. It appears that a rogue employee of Open Table made over 300 false dinner reservations at high-end restaurants as a way of seeking revenge for something. Still trying to figure that part out. France is getting set to lower the age of legal consent to 15. So I guess a 50-year-old man can now date a 15-year-old legally in France.
Well, they're working on that, apparently.
That makes sense. Not. A study says being exposed to even small amounts of light during sleep is linked to depression. Taylor Swift is in love again. She's been seen a lot lately with her most recent boyfriend, British actor Joe Alwyn. Today's impossible question, 1/3 of the people claim they can do this. I'm sorry, they cannot do this. This is sort of like rolling your tongue. You either have the genetic genes that allow you to roll it in a tunnel, or you can't.
They can't lick the tip of their nose.
I don't know many people that can.
They can't lick their elbow.
I don't know many people that can.
They can't bite their nails. Their toenails.
Snap their fingers.
Huh. Really? That's a genetic thing, huh?
Yep.
It's not hard. It's a snap.
Yeah, well, some people just can't make their fingers do it.
I didn't know that. Very interesting.
All right, coming up on 8 o'clock, 40 degrees. Here's your
We'll start the week breezy
weather.
and colder. Look for periods of rain today, changing over to a wintry mix of snow and sleet from west to east midday through the afternoon, especially over central and northern parts of the state. Highs range from mid-30s north to mid-40s south, though temperatures could fall some. Tonight, our chance of snow, sleet, and rain decreases through the evening, clearing and breezy later with lows in the upper 20s to low 30s. We'll be mostly sunny to partly cloudy Tuesday, highs mid-40s north to mid-50s south. I'm Mike Moss in the Weather Center.
97.3 FM and 990 AM. WPDB Southern Pines, Pinehurst, Aberdeen. And on the web at talk973.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Linda Kenyon. All 5 passengers have been killed in a helicopter crash into New York City's East River. A spokesman for the New York City Police Department says a 6th person, the pilot, freed himself and was rescued by a passing tugboat. South Korean President Moon Jae-in has described the opportunity to hold talks with North Korea as a precious chance to achieve a permanent peace.
President Moon Jae-in told his aides that should talks with North Korea succeed, there will be dramatic changes in world history, and South Korea would have played a leading role. The South Korean leader will hold a summit with Kim Jong-un at the end of April. The discussions will take place at the demilitarized zone at the heavily fortified border between North and South. It's one of the venues being considered for potential talks between the US President Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un. President Moon's remarks come as 2 of his senior ministers travel to Beijing and Tokyo to brief leaders on their meeting with the North Korean leader in Pyongyang and President Trump in Washington.
BBC correspondent Laura Bicker. President Donald Trump heads to California tomorrow, his first visit since he was elected into office.
His overnight visit will include a stop in San Diego to inspect 8 sample designs for the border wall that he's pledged to build. President Trump just blasted the Golden State on immigration, saying it's, quote, sheltering dangerous criminals in a brazen and lawless attack on our constitutional system of government. His Justice Department is suing, but California is also included in various lawsuits against the Trump administration, many over immigration policy. The president is also planning to raise some cash in Beverly Hills with a fundraiser. Jackie Quinn, Washington.
The White House unveils a new plan to prevent school shootings. It backs away from President Donald Trump's support for increasing the minimum age for purchasing assault weapons. More on these stories at townhall.com.
You know, I'm not a genius about money. I love my credit cards, and they love me. I was using them as a source of income, and then I got behind in my payments, and creditors were calling. I figured I had a problem, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I heard about Trinity, so I called and talked to a counselor. In half an hour, we worked out a plan. Now I've got one easy monthly payment, a lower interest rate, and I'm getting out of debt.
If you're in an endless cycle of paying on credit card balances that never seem to go away, then get ready for a toll-free number that will put you on a path to financial recovery. Trinity will consolidate your accounts, put a stop to late fees and over-limit charges, reduce your interest, and possibly improve your credit score. You'll save thousands. If your debt has you down, we should talk. Call 1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976. Call 1-800-990-6976.
A reward is being offered after someone stole artwork by Pablo Picasso.
The Lind Fine Arts Appraisals in downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin is offering a $5,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of an original 1949 print stolen last month. The print, one of only 30 signed by Picasso in green pencil in the lower right-hand corner, is worth up to an estimated $50,000. Anyone with information about the theft is asked to contact the Milwaukee Police Department or the FBI.
That's correspondent Rhonda Rockstra. A police official says at least 38 people were killed, 23 injured when a plane crashed as it landed at the Kathmandu airport in Nepal. Officials say that 10 people remain unaccounted for in the crash. The plane, a twin-engine Bombardier Dash 8 flying from Bangladesh, swerved repeatedly before it crashed, landing near but not on the runway. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Linda Kenyon. Fuel price analyst Trilby Lundberg says the national average price for a gallon of regular grade gasoline is $2.59.
In our sample of cities, we have El Paso as a low average at $2.19, and San Francisco Bay Area is the high average at $3.44.
The average price for diesel was up 2 cents to $3 a gallon. The treatment facility in Northern California where an Army veteran killed 3 employees may never reopen. A spokesman for the Pathway Home says directors of the Veterans Program are beginning an exhaustive review of security protocols. Police say a former resident, 36-year-old Albert Wong, killed Pathway Home executive directors, clinical director, and a clinical psychologist, and that the psychologist had worked with the San Francisco Department of Veterans Affairs healthcare system. Wong also killed himself after an hours-long standoff. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you're like me, you have to be diligent about watching your weight every single day. Despite how well you watch your weight, the one barrier that's always standing in your way is the belly fat you just can't seem to get rid of. Despite your best efforts, it's always there. Well, now there is a way to get your body to release the fat stored in those belly or thigh fat cells. It's the Ultra Slim Fat Melting Method, a non-invasive, non-surgical body sculpting treatment. This is a light therapy treatment, and the best part is you're guaranteed to lose 2 inches in your waist, hip, or thighs in a 32-minute treatment. I know it works because I've done it. What have you got to lose besides those 2 stubborn inches? Dr. Sharon Wright with Wright Chiropractic in 7 Lakes can give you all the details. Why not set up an appointment by calling her at 673-2225. That's 673-2225, and tell her Steve sent you. And finally say goodbye to your stubborn belly fat.
NCN News. I'm Mike Rayleigh. There are winter weather advisories for parts of central and eastern North Carolina and winter weather warnings for western North Carolina today. Jonathan Blaze is a meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Raleigh.
I would just think of maybe a blob, if you will, of heavier precipitation that's going to develop just east in the mountains mid-morning and then kind of slip across the Triad and then east and southeast across the Triangle toward the evening rush hour, and then off down toward places like Goldsboro and Rocky Mount just after dinner time.
Nearly 4 weeks after the Florida school massacre, the White House is officially announcing which changes in gun policy it will support. CBS News correspondent Major Garrett is at the White House with details.
President Trump's initial willingness to consider and even advocate for some new gun control measures has evaporated amid NRA lobbying and resistance from the Republican-led Congress. White House proposals will instead focus on mental health issues and arming certain school personnel in general. NRA priorities both.
A North Carolina man has been arrested for the 1986 murder of a state police officer's sister. State police spokesman David Procopio says 61-year-old Michael Arthur Hand of Troutman near Charlotte is in custody in the state for the murder of 15-year-old Tracy Gilpin of Kingston in 1986. Checking this weekend's box office, CBS News' Diane King Hall reports that Black Panther took in plenty of green.
Black Panther took in an estimated $41 million over the weekend and is now the 7th highest grossing domestic release ever with $562 million in ticket sales. A Wrinkle in Time debuted in 2nd place with $33 million, and The Strangers Pray at Night took 3rd place.
Officials in Wilson County say a man was unhurt when he crash-landed a single-engine plane in an open field. The Federal Aviation Administration is investigating. You're listening to NCN News.
Everything's coming up fresh and new, and it's true on UNC TV's Spring Fundraiser. Tune in to UNC TV tonight for informative and entertaining specials. First up at 8, Tell Them We're Rising. Tells the story of black colleges and universities. Then at 10, enjoy sacred and secular songs in a stunning concert from the New York Cantors. Don't miss UNC TV's Spring Fundraiser. It all starts tonight at 8. See what's on at unctv.org/specials.
The Powerade State Games of North Carolina are coming this June to the Piedmont Triad. Registration is open for athletes of all ages and skill levels in 24 different sports. The Powerade State Games feature 13,000 athletes and 700 teams. Don't miss out on the largest sports festival of the year. Visit PoweradeStateGames.org today. The Powerade State Games are brought to you by BB&T, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, and Lowe's Foods. For more information, visit PoweradeStateGames.org.
An eastern North Carolina community is mourning the loss of an Edgecombe County Sheriff's deputy after officials say he died on the line of duty on Sunday evening. Edgecombe County Sheriff Cleveland Atkinson says it happened around 6:17 p.m. when a deputy died in a car accident on NC Highway 122-111. The New York City Fire Department says 5 people are dead after a helicopter crash into the East River on Sunday night. 2 of the passengers were pronounced dead at the scene. The other 3 died of their injuries after being hospitalized. WCVS TV's Janelle Burrell reports.
Fire Commissioner Nigro says the water temperature and conditions made it difficult for divers to get to the victims.
They worked very quickly, as fast as they could. That's 50 feet of water there. There was a 4-mile-an-hour current, and the temperature is below 40s. So everyone worked very hard. It's a great tragedy.
Liberty Helicopters has had 2 previous crashes, both in the Hudson River. One in 2007 where the aircraft fell into the water and everyone survived. And another in 2009 when one of their choppers collided with a small plane. 9 people were killed.
Officials in Greensboro see an area around Piedmont Triad Airport as the potential source of a contaminant in its drinking water. As Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince gets ready for a visit to the U.S. this month, there are new allegations of abuse against some of his country's most wealthy businessmen.
Detained in a 5-star hotel in Riyadh, seemingly a gilded cage, but the reality was reportedly much darker. That crackdown on corruption so publicly embarked upon by Mohammed bin Salman did indeed compel many Saudi royals and businessmen to sign over billions, but the New York Times reports it did so through a pattern of coercion and physical abuse that left at least 17 detainees hospitalized and 1 dead. The Saudi government calling the allegations absolutely untrue. Vicki Barker, CBS News.
Mike Rayleigh, NCN News.
Will be cloudy, breezy, and colder today. Periods of rain that'll likely change to a wintry mix of snow and sleet from west to east midday through the afternoon. Some accumulations anywhere from a trace to as much as 2 or 3 inches in spots, mostly for central and northern parts of the state. Highs will range from mid-30s in the north to mid-40s in the far south. Temperatures may fall some through the afternoon. Tonight, a decreasing chance of snow, sleet, or rain in the evening, then clearing and breezy. Lows tonight in the upper 20s to low 30s. I'm Mike Moss in the Weather Center.
Right now here in the Sandhills, scattered showers, 39 degrees, humidity maxed out at 100%, dew point 39, pressure 29.77, winds northeast at 10, visibility down to 2 statute miles, so headlights on. It is 8:11. Let's take a look at your Sandhills news for this Monday morning. A woman and child escaped serious injury Sunday when their Toyota Corolla passenger car overturned in a single vehicle accident outside of Aberdeen. Emergency responders were dispatched around 6:30 in the evening to a vehicle accident on Roslyn Road near Blackbird Lane. The first arriving emergency units reported a passenger car overturned on his roof off of the roadway. The child was transported to First Help with non-life-threatening injuries. The state leaders are urging local law enforcement and school districts to work closely together to ensure that all North Carolina schools are safe and offered state tools and resources to help. The Governor's Crime Commission and the State Emergency Response Commission will apply their expertise to prioritize school safety, public safety. In addition, Governor Roy Cooper and Secretary Hooks sent a letter this week asking school superintendents, local law enforcement agency heads, charter school principals, and independent school to work together and with the state to prevent further school tragedies. Governor Cooper, in his letter, called on schools to include local law enforcement and emergency management in their annual school-wide preparedness drills. And with the spring getting a little more than a week away, the Moore County could get a taste of wintry weather today and tonight. According to the National Weather Service, the area could see a sleet mix with the rain in the early evening hours, and then possibly change to snow between 9 p.m. and midnight. The low temperatures will be hovering around the freezing mark. Meteorologists say that with the warmer soil and surface temperatures, accumulation is expected to be minimal. Whatever the area gets, it should be short-lived with a high Tuesday of 51. That's your latest Sandhills news this morning, but hang on. comes your latest in sports right here on Talk 97.3 FM and 990 AM. WEEB is 814.
NCN Sports, I am Josh Zach, and a half dozen North Carolina basketball teams are headed to the NCAA tournament. Fresh off a surprising MEAC tourney title, NC Central will get things started Wednesday night in Dayton. The Eagles will face Texas Southern in the NCAA tournament's first four, with the winner moving on to play Xavier on Friday in Nashville. Duke is the number 2 seed in the Midwest region and will play 15 seed Iona Thursday afternoon in Pittsburgh. NC State is the 9 seed in the Midwest region and will play 8 seed Seton Hall Thursday afternoon in Wichita. UNC is the 2 seed in the West region and will play 15 seed Lipscomb Friday afternoon in Charlotte, while Southern Conference winner UNC Greensboro is the 13 seed in the West region. They will play 4th-seeded Gonzaga on Thursday in Boise, Idaho. Also in Boise, Idaho is the Atlantic 10 Conference winner, Davidson. They're the 12 seed and will be in the South region to play 5-seed Kentucky on Thursday in Boise. Virginia, Villanova, Kansas, and Xavier are the 4 number 1 seeds. Cavaliers will head up the Southern region. The Wildcats first in the East. The Jayhawks head up the Midwest, and Xavier is atop the West. The ACC wound up with 9 bids altogether. Around the track, Kevin Harvick raced to his 3rd straight NASCAR Cup Series victory this weekend while holding off Kyle Busch for his record-extending 9th win at ISM Raceway in Phoenix.
Actions speak a whole lot louder than all the words that I can say this week, and parking that thing in victory lane is the most powerful thing, most powerful message that you can send, and says the most about our organization and our team. And, you know, to have all 4 cars in the top 10 is something that I've never been a part of at Stewart-Haas Racing. So it was kind of a weird weekend.
Harvick's the first driver to win 3 straight Cup races since 2015. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott finished 3rd, followed by Denny Hamlin and pole sitter Martin Truex Jr. This is NCN Sports.
Hi, Patrick Johnson with this week's Undaunted ECU Spotlight. It shines on women's lacrosse player Sam Caputo from Middle Creek High School. The freshman midfielder is helping to write history at ECU as a contributing member in the program's inaugural season. At the midway point this spring, Sam has tallied 3 goals and an assist, while in the classroom she's achieved a 3.8 GPA for the fall semester. East Carolina celebrates Sam Caputo of Apex and all of our Undaunted student athletes. For the latest on ECU athletics, visit ECUPirates.com.
A Democrat in the governor's mansion, an unconventional Republican in the White House, new state, House, and Senate election maps, all important factors for politics and public policy in North Carolina. What does it all mean? Carolina Journal has the answers, available each month as a free newspaper, every day online at carolinajournal.com. Carolina Journal, your #1 source for government news that affects you. Visit carolinajournal.com today.
Paul Casey got between Tiger Woods and his first PGA victory in 5 years. Casey fired a 6-under-65 to close out a 1-stroke win over Tiger Woods and Patrick Reed at the Valspar Championship at Innsbruck. Following his final round at the 2018 Valspar Championship, Tiger talked with PGAtour.com about his game sharpening with each week.
Well, I think that I've gotten a little bit better than what I was, a couple weeks ago at Honda, and I keep getting just a little bit better and a little bit sharper. Today wasn't quite as sharp as I would like to have had it, but I had a good shot at winning this golf tournament, and a couple putts here and there could have been a different story.
Woods charged up the crowd with a birdie putt from just inside 45 feet on the 17th hole to get within 1 shot, but his long birdie attempt on 18 was 2 feet short, cost him the win. Josh Zach, NCN Sports.
At First Bank, North Carolina's largest independent community bank, we know you have dreams for yourself, your family, your community. The local teams at First Bank believe in your dreams, and we're on a mission to make the impossible possible. Enter our Dream It, Do It contest, and you could win up to $25,000 to make your dreams come true. Contest rules and details, go online to localfirstbank.com/dreamit-do-it or see the ads in the Pilot and local magazines.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hello, I'm John Zumwalt, and you're in the Zumwalt zone. We just saw a deputy sheriff in Florida hiding, while the children he was supposed to be protecting were getting slaughtered. Please don't try to defend him. He was a coward. He pinned on a badge, he wore a gun, and his job was to place the lives of those precious children in front of his own. I know a guy that called the sheriff's office here in Moore County. He was hiding in the closet with his family. He said he'd heard a noise, and he was afraid. Might be someone in the house. The sheriff's office responded. They looked around and reassured the poor guy that no need to stay hidden. They were there now, and everything was okay. Come to think of it, you know the guy too. His name is Neil Godfrey, and he's your sheriff. You know, the one we expect to protect us. At the time, he was an SBI agent living in Moore County. It's been a well-known joke among local law enforcement for some time. Just ask him. He's the political pick of the good old boys here in Moore County. They're supporting him. I want to say something to that very small group. You may act like what you're doing's okay. You may tell us, you may even lie to us about your actions and your beliefs, but every single one of you, when you're alone and doing some real soul searching, you know that what you're doing's not right. And as for the sheriff, he's still hiding. Only this time, he's hiding from the good guys. You know, the kind like you find in the Zumwalt zone.
We'll start the week breezy and colder. Look for periods of rain today, changing over to a wintry mix of snow and sleet from west to east midday through the afternoon, especially over central and northern parts of the state. Highs range from mid-30s north to mid-40s south, though temperatures could fall some. Tonight, our chance of snow, sleet, and rain decreases through the evening, clearing and breezy later with lows in the upper 20s to low 30s. Will be mostly sunny to partly cloudy Tuesday, highs mid-40s north to mid-50s south. I'm Mike Moss in the Weather Center.
And now, the Sandhills' number one morning show. Mornings with the LeaderMan. Here on Talk 97.3 FM and 990 AM WEB. And heard and seen around the world at talk973.com.
The best part of waking up is waking up with us.
And the Oscar goes to
Monday.
You ever think about doing radio?
I'm not smart, funny, or handsome.
That's what your mouth says, but my ears are too smart to believe it.
Use Gritto Radio, friends. The soap that gives your hands that dishpan look.
I just solved the mystery as to what came first, the chicken or the egg.
I got the job because we didn't have any gigs.
Well, I can't get you a gig if you're going to always go and do a job.
I needed the job because there were no gigs.
Well, I've got you a gig, so what's with the job?
It's a chicken-egg situation. Showtime.
Hand me down a walking cane, hand me down my hat. Hurry now and don't be late, 'cause we ain't got time to chat. You and me, we're going out to catch the latest sounds. Guaranteed to blow your mind so high you won't come down. Hey, y'all, prepare yourself for the rubber band. Man, you've never heard a sound like the rubber band. Man, you're bound to lose control when the rubber band starts to jam.
Good morning, Talk 97.3 FM and 990 AM WEEB, and welcome back to the most listened to program in all of the Sandhills. It is Mornings with the LeaderMan. I am Steve Leader Adams, so don't forget, of course, we are being heard and seen around the world on our crystal clear digital audio stream. That's available to you at talk973.com. That's in the upper right-hand corner of any of our web pages. Or you can get it with your music device on your mobile app, such as TuneIn or iTunes. Just put WEEB in the search. If you want to view the program, you can do that too by going to our website at talk973.com. The link is right there in the top middle of the page, and you can click on that. It'll get you to the video. If you're on a mobile device, YouTube is your best bet. And put Mornings with the LeaderMan, all one word, in there, and we'll pop up. All right, in the studio with us this morning is Congressman Richard Hudson, and also J.D. Zumwalt has joined us this morning. J.D., of course, well-versed in all the politics of our area and around this country. And we're going to let J.D. handle the interview this morning. J.D.?
Thank you, Steve, and thank you very much, Congressman Hudson. I've got a lot of things I want to get to, but I'd like to ask you first about something I just found out about that you mentioned when you walked in. And as a former military guy, could you please tell us what you did for the Special Forces soldiers in Niger?
Well, I didn't want you to tell everybody that, but, one of my greatest honors in my life is that I get to represent the 54,000 men and women at Fort Bragg. And, we had a tragedy on October 4th in Niger when we lost 4 of our Special Forces soldiers, but we also had 2 that were wounded. But I've learned just a few weeks ago that those were not considered combat injuries or combat losses because Niger wasn't declared a combat zone. And that means those soldiers and that means those survivors were not getting combat pay. And to me, that didn't make any sense. And so I went to work, working through the Pentagon, and we just got good news a couple days ago that they are going to designate Niger as well as a couple other countries in Africa as combat zones. That means that those survivors, those 4 patriots, are going to get the back pay, danger pay, and then those who served are going to get their danger pay, back pay paid back through July of last year.
Well, thank you for that. I've got a lot of friends that I served with, and I know they listen, and I know that they'll appreciate that. I know they'll spread the word. Not everyone would have done that, and I appreciate it. You were just on 60 Minutes not too long ago. I wanted to ask you, was it just me, or are they leaning a little bit left?
A little bit left. I looked at that as missionary work.
How did they treat you? Did you get the feeling did they edit it fairly? Did they treat you fairly? How did you feel about that?
I thought they treated pretty fairly. And, if you watch 60 Minutes, they always lean left. Mm-hmm. They always sort of take their perspective. And I think their perspective in this case, when it comes to concealed carry reciprocity, is probably, unfortunately, there's a lot of rednecks out there who think it's a good idea, but luckily those of us who live in cities know better. That was sort of the tone of the program.
Yep.
But I did feel like they allow me in the couple quick sound bites to state my case.
Okay. Well, when you first ran, I wasn't too sure about you. And when you announced that you were going to introduce H.R. 38, I was skeptical because, frankly, I thought, here we go. He's going to announce it. It'll never go anywhere. It's pretty good. This is your 3rd term. How'd you push that through? That's quite an accomplishment.
Well, I had a lot of good mentors, JD, one of them being Howard Coble, one of them being Senator Helms, and I learned that to get things done in Washington, you got to get 217 other people in the House to agree with you, and in this environment, you got to get 60 in the Senate to agree with you, and so you've got to build relationships, and so I've put a lot of time into building relationships across the aisle, not just with Republicans, but also with Democrats, building trust, doing things that aren't the biggest issues in the world, but like I got a bill this year passed dealing with workforce training, but I got a liberal African-American Democrat from Southside Chicago to work with me on it, and it's because I'd built trust with him. And so in the case of H.R. 38, it took a lot of work, a lot of conversations, but I'd laid a lot of groundwork ahead of time.
Well, I don't want you to respond to this, but I wish our local state representatives could learn to get a few bills passed. Maybe they could learn from you. How much of our money do you believe that we should be able to keep? What's the limit? We waste a lot of money. You were talking about that when you came in, and obviously you fight that. But how much is too much to take from us federally?
That's a great question, JD. I don't know if I can give you a straight answer. I mean, it is all our money. Washington doesn't have any money they don't take from us. Right now we spend just an extraordinary amount of money every year. We just had a budget vote where they asked us to spend $300 billion more than last year, and to also raise the borrowing limit or the debt ceiling without any spending reforms. And I voted no, because and I have to tell you, that was a tough decision for me, because I know that we've got to rebuild our military. I know the impact of these cuts we've had over the last 10 years is having on readiness right here at Fort Bragg, what it means for the risk that our soldiers live under. I've been very vocal about the need to increase spending, but we can't do it unless we get real reforms. And so, maybe the better answer to that question is, what are we spending the money on, and where's the money going?
Is there any way to stop this mess? Is there any way, can you realistically do anything about it?
You can. The biggest piece of this is entitlement spending. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, that is the real driver of our cost. We've actually done a pretty decent job of cutting the discretionary side of spending, which is the funding for the 12 departments of government. We've actually done a decent job until this last year, this last budget vote, of cutting spending there, but all of the cost, all the driver of our debt is coming from Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. And my biggest frustration in my 3 terms in Congress is that we have failed to deal with it. And, Democrats and Republicans agree these programs are going broke. We agree they're driving the country into debt. We agree on the date they're all going to go broke, but we just somehow don't have the political will to address it. But there are a number of us who continue to say, if you don't deal with that, we're not going to agree to increase spending.
Well, you're in a lot of trouble when you start talking about those 3, aren't you?
Well, you can be, but I think folks understand that if we do nothing, by 2023, if you're on Social Security, you're going to get a 25% cut. because the program can't sustain itself. When the program started, most people didn't live much past age 65. And we had, I don't remember the exact number, something like 30 people paying into the system for every retiree. Well, now it's the other way around. You've got a dozen retirees for every person paying in. The numbers don't add up. We've got baby boomers retiring every day. I think most people understand that we need to have a different deal cut, not for people at or near retirement now, but for people my age and younger. We're going to have to negotiate a new contract when it comes to Social Security, and we ought to deal with it in an honest, and we can do it in a bipartisan way where let's share the blame, but let's share the credit for the good results it's going to provide for the country.
Well, you know, when I first talked to your office, I talked to Billy Costangi, who's sitting here, and I kind of hate him because he's a real young-looking guy, and I look like I'm about 90. But I want to ask you, the reason I mentioned Billy is, if a person has needs to contact your office, what is the best way for them to do that? It's a two-part question. First, what's the best way for them to contact you? And second question I have is, how can they actually make a difference? What do you respond to? Not just you, but Congress in general. Do you respond to letters, cards, calls? What moves Congress?
Well, you can contact me a lot of different ways. One way is you can go online to hudson.house.gov, hudson.house.gov, and you can send me an email through the website. We get about 1,000 letters and emails a week, and I respond to every single one of them. And every new letter, I write the response, and then if someone else writes in on the same topic, they get that same response until something changes. So everyone who writes me will get a response. You can also call our office. We have a local office here in Pinehurst at the Sandhills Community College, and the phone number there I'll give out is area code 910, of course, 246-5374. So 910-246-5374, and you can call our office anytime, leave a voicemail if we're not there, and we will respond to you.
Okay, thank you for giving that out. I also want to talk about term limits. I'm kind of torn on term limits sometimes. We get folks up there who just stagnate. But on the other hand, your first year, 2 years, you're not much good. You're reaching a point where you have really are getting some things done because of your experience. And I know you've had a lot of experience before you ever were elected. What are your feelings on term limits?
Well, honestly, I'm torn like you are. I support term limits because I think things are so broken in Washington that I support a number of reforms. I think a balanced budget amendment would probably even do more than term limits. I think there are a number of things that need to be done to drain this swamp. And so I support term limits. I signed a pledge. I've co-sponsored term limits bill. I'll vote for it if the leadership will give me a chance. I don't plan to stay here forever. And I do think you need new people coming in. I think that members of Congress need to live with the laws they write. And so there will be life for me after Congress. You're not going to drag me out of Congress, when I'm an old man. And so I support term limits. On the other hand, I'm glad Senator Jesse Helms didn't have term limits because he was a strong voice for conservatism and for North Carolina for a long time. And so there is something to be said about if folks don't have time to learn the system and build the relationships you need to actually get things done, then the bureaucrats run the place.
Well, there are other things, like in your case, I would say force of personality gets a lot done, as opposed to just pure seniority. Would you agree with that?
It definitely has part of it,
Yeah.
and you got to know when to, sort of like you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. You got to know when to get in that committee chairman's face and demand that hearing. You got to know when to go to leadership and say enough's enough.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty good song.
It would be. It would be.
All right, I'd like to talk a little bit about your personal life. I know that you're a Christian. I know that you have a strong family and you've strong family ties. When I talked to Billy, he promised me, I said I'd ask him to tell a joke. Now, I don't know if 60 Minutes asked you this or not. Well, actually, I do. I watched it. But tell us a joke. Well, now, folks are saying, what is wrong with Zumwalt? Got a chance to ask a congressman something. He wants him to tell a joke.
Well, I spoke Saturday at the Moore County Republican Convention here in Moore County, and the joke I started off then was, political speech is like horns on a steer. There's a point here, a point there, and a whole lot of bull in between. And I promised them I wouldn't give them a political speech, and hopefully I didn't.
Well, there are a lot of people out there going, I don't get it. You're one of the things I liked about you. A lot of congresspersons will say they are pro-life, but very few walk that walk, and very few do. I liked it that you're so vocal and you don't shy away from it. Could you speak to that a minute?
Well, I believe firmly in the right to life. I believe that life is a gift from God, from conception to natural death. It needs to be protected, and I'm proud of the opportunities I've had to stand up for life. You know, some of the probably the darkest moment I've had as a member of Congress was on the floor when we debated the pain-capable abortion bill, where you know science proves that at 20 weeks a baby feels pain, recognizes her mother's voice, responds to light, and so you know that we passed legislation last year to protect that life at 20 weeks.
Good.
But to hear that floor debate and to hear just the darkness coming from folks who want to murder these babies, it was a tough moment for me. But I believe it's my responsibility because, you know, I work for the people of this district, but one day I've got to answer to my Creator, and so there's things a lot more important than elections and popularity, and that's doing the right thing. And as far as when it comes to life, there's no question in my mind what the right thing is, and that's to stand up for life at every opportunity.
John, let me butt in for 1 second. Just remind everybody we're talking with Congressman Richard Hudson, who's running for re-election here from the 8th District for his third term, and he's come in this morning to share his ideas with us. John,
I think you answered my next question with what you just said, but what makes you different? We hear a lot of politicians, and they all talk pretty good talk. What makes you different than the average everyday politician who spouts off?
Well, I think the answer would be my faith, because I know that God's in charge of my life and that I've got to answer to Him one day. It also gives me hope. You know, I have some frustrating days when I'm up in Washington working on your behalf. You know, when you're having to deal with folks like Nancy Pelosi and others who just don't think like we think. When you have frustrating days where you don't win, where the other side prevails, and it's a real important issue that you know makes a difference, not just for people today, but for people like my 2-year-old son and the world he's going to live in. You know, I have some tough days, but I know there's hope, because there's a hope in me that comes from Jesus Christ. And so I think, you know, my faith also teaches me that I'm not that important. It's not about me. It's about others and my service to others. And so I think that guides me, and I hope it makes me a good congressman.
Well, it's wonderful to hear that, and I hope every politician and every wannabe that's listening, and I know that all of our local folks running for office are not politicians. But the people who listen to me, and I love every one of them, know that I don't like politicians particularly. You seem to be, this is not the first time I met you, different, down to earth, roll up your sleeves, and talk to folks. And you seem to believe that I believe you do have a servant's heart. Do you like politicians?
Well, you know, I aspire to be a statesman, not just a politician. I hate the politics when you can't have political discourse. You know, where if my idea is different from yours, I'm now an evil person. Where, you know, if you disagree with a tactic I'm taking politically, then you completely disregard me as a person. I hate that part of politics. I hate the way society has gotten to where if you and I disagree on something, we can't talk about it over a meal. You know, you look at social media and how hateful the rhetoric is. You know, from both sides of the political spectrum, it's a deterioration, I think, in civility. I think it's been to the detriment of civil discourse in this country, and I think it's a shame. But I think the answer to that is to try to be different, try to build relationships, try to have a deeper conversation that goes beyond labels.
Well, good answer. I had a follow-up, but you've answered it. Speaker Ryan very recently recognized that there's a problem in Congress and directed that every member of Congress would go through sexual harassment training. Have you done that?
I have not gone through the training yet.
Do you need it? Do you not know when sexual harassment occurs? I'm not asking that in an adversarial way. I'm saying the ridiculousness of our congresspersons having to go to sexual harassment training. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it is important that every workplace You have protections against that sort of behavior, and I think it is important there's an awareness. I was a supervisor before I was a congressman, and so I've been very aware of the law. I've actually supervised people and had situations we had to deal with, and so I'm not opposed to doing it. But I will say my wife worries about a lot of things, but she doesn't worry about me in that context. That's just not something that I'm concerned about. But I don't have a problem with members of Congress having to go through that type of training. Just like in every workplace, there is no place for that kind of behavior, and we need to do what needs to be done to root it out.
Well, my problem is not the fact that they have it. My problem is that by the time a person gets elected to be a member of Congress, that they would even need that. And I would hate to think that that's the case.
Well, there ought to be a higher standard of conduct that we demand of all our elected officials, and I try to live up to that.
Do you have an opinion or a statement or anything that you'd like to say about the millions of dollars that were set aside as a slush fund, if you will, to pay for sexual harassment type suits that hush people up?
I had a lot of problems with what I learned, and honestly, I learned at the same time everyone listening to this did. Maybe I should have asked questions sooner, but I do have a problem with members of Congress using the money that's allocated to run our offices to pay off sexual harassment claims. That's been done several times, and we've just passed a law to stop that from going forward. I don't think there ought to be secret settlements. I don't think there ought to be any kind of special treatment for Congress. And if there's taxpayer dollars being used for it, there ought to be absolute transparency about it. The other concern I had is staff members who work for Congress had no representation. So we've got these lawyers that taxpayers are paying that will defend a member of Congress, but they won't advise the staff person. So another thing we changed in the law is we provided legal representation for staff that are put in these situations.
If you weren't in politics, what would you be doing?
Well, I'd be getting ready for spring turkey hunting.
Well, you can do that anyway, can't you?
Well, I've missed the last 2 springs. I tell you, that's the biggest challenge of my job. And there's people out there listening who work a lot harder than I do and have much tougher jobs, more important jobs than me. But I miss as much hunting as I used to do before. And I've got a 2.5-year-old son now, and when I've got a Saturday free, which isn't very often, I want to spend it with him. But I have warned my wife that when he gets old enough to go hunting with Daddy, she's not going to see us in the fall.
I would imagine being a member of Congress, especially a member that takes his job as seriously as you do, could get pretty frustrated. What is the most frustrating thing about trying to represent us while you're serving as a member of Congress?
Wow, how much time do you have? This could turn to a therapy session. I wish I had a couch to lay on here. This job is the most rewarding job I've ever had. It's an honor to be your congressman, but I can tell you there are some days where it is so frustrating. There are nights where I lay awake at night and can't sleep. There are mornings I wake up just as frustrated and upset as I can be. Probably the most frustrating I get is when one of my constituents is having a problem with the federal government, whether it's a veteran who the VA is not giving them the benefits they deserve, or whether it's a woman who they've declared she's now dead even though she's still alive, and they've cut off her benefits and she's about to miss her house payment for the second or third time. I had a soldier or sailor from China Grove who had a health issue, and he was stuck in a Navy hospital, and the doctors at the nearby civilian hospital and at the Navy hospital said he needs to go to a hospital that specializes in his rare condition, and Wake Forest and Duke are 2 of the best in the world. We wanted to get him transferred there. It took me about six months to get the Navy to let him go. In the meantime, they were giving him a drug that the doctor at Duke University, where we finally got him, said every doctor in America knows that drug destroys your liver.
Oh, my God.
They were not monitoring his blood regularly to catch what they did to this young man's liver. We got him transferred. It took me getting the White House involved, getting John McCain to call the DOD, and getting the chairman of the House Appropriations Committee to personally call the Secretary of the Navy on his cell phone to get them to let this young man go. They told me the day after he got there that he would have died in about 2 more days, and within a week he had to have a liver transplant. This is a 18-year-old young man who would have lost his life because of the bureaucracy. And for 6 months, I lost sleep. I'd come home and update my wife about it and literally burst into tears because it was so frustrating. That was the most frustrating thing I've ever had to deal with.
Well, we're almost out of time, but I just heard you tell a story that's amazing, and I think that everyone listening realizes that had you not gotten involved, that fellow would be dead, and not everyone's willing to work that hard. I'm very impressed, and I just want to tell you, I hope you'll never stop fighting for us, because all the folks out here listening, you need to realize this: we don't have very many people fighting for us, and when they stop fighting, the bullies win, the bad guys win. So do you have any final thoughts? And by the way, I do. Thank you for being here. And thank you to you too, Billy. I know you didn't get to say anything, but I appreciate you being here and setting us up. And I want to tell you thank you, and thank you for your honesty and your down-to-earthness. And it's a rare thing for me to be impressed by a politician. You could ask them, but I appreciate it. Any final thoughts?
Well, I just appreciate the opportunity you and the folks listening give me to be your member of Congress. It's truly an honor for me, and as long as you'll send me back for 2 more years, I'll keep fighting for you. And I'll just finish by saying God bless each and every one of you.
Let me ask you one more question. Do you ever get tired of having to politic?
No, I don't. You know, I'm maybe, you know, God makes each one of us different, give us different strengths. He gave me a whole lot of patience, and I absolutely love spending time with people. And, you know, I have 750,000 bosses.
Yep.
For some people, that might drive them crazy. For me, I love it. You know, I do the grocery shopping for my family. So when I'm in the Harris Teeter in Concord, I hear exactly what's going on out there, and I hear it directly from people. That's why I travel the district as much as I do. I absolutely love it.
Well, good luck to you, Congressman, and we appreciate you taking the time to come in this morning.
Great to be back with you. Thank you.
All right, it is 8:45, 45 past the hour here on this Monday. I don't know about you, but, you know, they said time travel isn't possible. But it is. We all time traveled Sunday morning at 2 a.m. We just skipped the 2 o'clock hour and time travel straight to 3 o'clock. And this fall, I'm going to take that knowledge and go back in time and buy some stocks.
Yeah, would that it worked that way.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's see. I don't have that many rim shots this morning. My supply was weak, as I say.
Well, you got me here, Steve.
But anyway, we can, well, I'll tell you what, let's start it out with some yes or BS and go from there, shall we? As we get a chance to buzz
and
Matt.
now it's time for yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Or BS.
Don't give me that
good bullshit.
All right, time for yes or BS, where you decided yes is true or no is total BS. Today is National Girl Scout Day, so that is the topic. And here's your first statement. Today is Girl Scout Day because it's the anniversary of the first Girl Scout meeting.
BS.
No, as usual, you're wrong. Today is the 106th anniversary of Girl Scouts. The first meeting was in Savannah, Georgia, on May 12th, 1912. The Girl Scouts formed 2 years before the Boy Scouts did.
No, that's BS.
It is BS. The Boy Scouts of America was formed in 1910, 2 years before the girls. The Girl Scouts' secret handshake involves shaking with your left hand instead of your right.
BS.
No, if you shake with your left hand while doing a 3-finger Girl Scout salute with your right.
Not a secret anymore, thank you very much.
The Hildebeest, Hillary, was a Girl Scout.
Yes.
Yes, she was. 3 women have been Secretary of State: Hillary Clinton, Condoleezza Rice, and Madeleine Albright, and all 3 of them were former Girl Scouts. Other famous Girl Scouts include Taylor Swift, Gwyneth Paltrow, Mariah Carey, Katie Couric, Martha Stewart, Laura Bush, and Barbara Wawa. The all-time record for most Girl Scout cookies sold by a single Scout is over 100,000 boxes.
BS.
It's true. A girl from Oklahoma named Katie Francis went on The Tonight Show last year and sold Jimmy Fallon her record-setting box, number 101,106. She also holds a single-year record of just over 18,000 boxes. Wow. Okay, going on to rim shots this morning. James Taylor turned 70 today. He stopped singing You've Got a Friend several years ago when his last friend died. Russell Crowe is auctioning off movie memorabilia. Crowe is able to part with the memorabilia because memorabilia is not food. A horse named after Rob
Blagojevich.
No, I had a sneeze coming on. A horse named after Rob Gronkowski won the Kentucky Derby qualifying race. So, I guess it's congratulations, Neanderthal, right? And Wallet Hub ranked Chicago as the top U.S. city to be in for St. Patrick's Day. Smart people there will be wearing green Kevlar vests. That's your rim shots for today. All right, 50 past the hour, 8 o'clock. It's time for our little lady to come to the microphone.
You, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? When you were 8 and you had bad dreams.
All right, my friends, it's time once again. Draw in that big breath of air. Let our big hairy chest stick out in the style of John Wayne, the Duke, and proudly strut across the floor. Open up our closet doors, look at all 30 of our Liberty safes from Carthage Shooting Sports. And today we'll go to Liberty safe number 19. This is full of shiny revolvers. We'll let Matt reach in and pick one out.
Yeah, boy, let's go with Smith & Wesson 686. This is a 38 caliber 7-shot revolver.
All righty. We'll put that into the shoulder holster, pin on our badge, grab 5 cans of whoop ass as we now head out the door in relentless pursuit of stupid criminal news. You know, everyone who's bought a Porsche could have had his nightmare happen to him, but only this guy actually lived it. A 37-year-old guy from Yallaby, Australia, bought a Porsche on Saturday morning. And what's the first thing you do when you get a new Porsche, huh?
Learn how to pronounce Porsche.
I'm going to tomato you in a minute. No, you dummy, you let it rip to see what it can do.
Oh!
Temptation to put that foot down. Unfortunately, we're doing 60 miles an hour in a 25 mile per hour neighborhood. So the police impounded his car after he had only had it for 10 minutes. That made his little thing just shrink right on up. He's now facing speeding charges, and he can't get his car out of impound for 30 days. Even though he's paying interest on all that money. And stupid criminal news number 2. Yeah, I'd like to say this is literally the opposite of how to impress a woman. A guy was drunk in a bar in Athens, Georgia last week, and he was hitting on a woman. You know how those drunk guys do it. And when he tried to reach over and kiss her, well, she wanted nothing with him, wanted nothing to do with him. And her friends told him to leave the table. So apparently he tried to save face by making a badass exit. But it backfired. He tried to do it badass by flipping off the booth above them and over their table. Only he was drunk and didn't quite clear things like he had planned on doing during the backflip. So, and ultimately, he crashed through their table and also landed on one of the women's head. She was taken to the hospital, and it sounds like she got a concussion. And the police are still trying to track down this trapeze artist. And that, my friends, is your stupid criminal news for this Monday.
He must not have been too drunk to figure I got to make an exit here.
Yeah, well, finally reached the bottom of the barrel of stupid and try to get away from whatever you did. Yeah, I'm stupid. I'm out of here. And you never go back.
Kind of stupid for them not to find out who he was.
Well, I'm sure they have video, just a matter of time. All righty. Well, I guess we'll put our arms in the air.
Like we just don't care.
Put our fingers in the air as called for.
And now it's time for...
Random facts.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, here's your random facts, maybe a spare for today. There are some, let's see, horses cannot throw up. Their bodies are not built to do it. Minnesota has a law banning contest where people try to catch greased pigs or turkeys. You're 4 times more likely to die in your lifetime from your pajamas catching on fire than from Ebola. And in 1989, Blockbuster was growing so fast that a new store was opening every 17 hours. Today, there are only about 50 Blockbusters left.
It seems cruel to grease a turkey.
And Phyllis Smith, who played the older motherly woman on The Office, was once an NFL cheerleader. She cheered for the Cardinals back when they were in St. Louis in the 70s. And that's your random facts for today. Okay. 8:56, 56 past the hour. Couple other little factoids. In a recent study, it says that if you can't stand your neighbors, you're more likely to have one of these.
A dog.
A heart attack.
Oh.
51% of people said they would rather have jury duty than give up coffee for a week. A recent survey found that 38% of people would rather clean this than have to make up another password.
A toilet.
Close enough. Bathroom. More Americans had this for dinner in the past year than any other food.
Pizza.
It is pizza. And well, they could break if they were waiting on me. Because it's just loaded with carbs. Nothing but a carb. Half of us haven't changed our voicemail message in how long?
3 years.
3 years or more. And people said the number one thing they held on to from an old relationship was this.
Jewelry.
No.
Got me.
Pictures. The second was this.
Jewelry.
No.
Clothes.
No. Something tangible, but not quite as substantial.
Toothbrush.
Ticket stubs. All right, so it goes for this Monday. Have yourself a great, safe day. A special edition of Tea Time, the reunion show, is next in the first hour of Chris Plant. Chris will be back on at 10 this morning. So stay tuned for Less in the Gang. That's straight ahead. And don't forget, millions of Americans have fought and died to give and protect the freedoms that you get to enjoy today. Live today worthy of their and their family's sacrifice. I'm Steve Leader Adams, and the Leader Man and Nick and Coach the Dog will all see you at 2 o'clock this afternoon at the dog park.
And I'm Matt Horsey with a quote from psychologist and philosopher William James. Most people never run far enough on their first win to find out